Folks, Trump lawyer Alina Habba really seems like she might be losing her mind. And can't really blame her, can you? I mean, if you look at all the horrible things that have happened so far in Donald Trump's fraud trial, none of the testimony has gone his way. They're having to create victories where victories do not exist. In fact, every time Donald Trump gets, sanctioned by the judge, he goes out and tells reporters, "I just won." But Alina Habba seems to be taking it so hard that, in my opinion, it appears that she's almost lost her grip on reality, which is not uncommon for people in Donald Trump's orbit, right? You get sucked into his alternative reality, and at that point, there's really no coming back. And that is, I think, what is happening with Alina Habba, and it's been on full display this week. Now, following Donald Trump's testimony on Monday, Alina Habba spent the next couple days going on various news outlets. She went on Fox News, she goes on Newsmax, she goes on Charlie Kirk's podcast, and each time she said things that kind of give us a glimpse into the way her mind works, and it's terrifying. It started when she told Fox News host and former Trump administration official Larry Kudlow that her and the rest of Donald Trump's lawyers were thinking about filing a motion for a mistrial because, according to Habba, Trump wasn't allowed to talk, as much as he wanted to, when he was on the witness stand. The judge kept interrupting. The judge got mad. She says the judge yelled at her. My God. So we're just going to file a motion for mistrial. Now, as the good people over at Midas Touch point out, that's not even possible. They explain it thusly. See, Donald Trump was called as a witness for the prosecution. So the prosecution is allowed to ask him whatever questions they want to ask. And if he gets off topic, they're allowed to, bring him back in or cut him off. The judge is also allowed to cut off the witness if they are not answering the questions. And by the way, the judge had actually asked the prosecution if they wanted to let Donald Trump just keep on talking and talking about stupid stuff. And the prosecution said, yeah, sure. So even if Alina Habba was able to file a motion for mistrial based on Trump not getting able to speak, which she can't do that, it would fall apart because that's not even what happened. She created an alternative reality about what took place in that courtroom. And then the next day, she did the same thing during a podcast appearance with right-wing talker Charlie Kirk. Here's what Alina Habba told Mr. Kirk. He was cutting off the former president, talking about the judge, sitting on the witness stand, cooperating and being a civil, decent defendant who was subpoenaed to come here and get off the campaign trail. He screamed at me, "Sit down," in a manner I've never seen, slammed on his desk. And it was completely disrespectful. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. It was unhinged. Oh, somebody sounds unhinged, all right, but it ain't Judge Arthur Engeron. Charlie Kirk then asked her, "Hey, do you think this judge is acting as judge, jury, and executioner?" And Habba responded, "He executed us before we walked into the courtroom. He granted a motion before we started the trial saying that we were liable, and he is firm on that. We really are in a banana republic in there. So he already said we're guilty of fraud." We. Like how you use we, like we're guilty of fraud. No, your client is guilty of fraud. You're acting like this is a banana republic. It's called a summary judgment, Alina. You went to law school. You went to law school and I'm assuming you passed. You passed the bar. Summary judgment, not banana republic, right? If you were doing one of those little things like my son in elementary school has to do, where you draw the line to match the word to the definition, you would draw the line to summary judgment, not to banana republic. And I'm explaining it to you that way because I think maybe in those terms, that might be something you can now understand. Also, he executed us. Like, we're dead. You're so dumb. Like, you are just genuinely stupid. You're a stupid person, in my opinion. She's not done. He is now putting on a show, wasting taxpayer dollars, wasting President Trump's money, frankly, because all he wants to do now is get bad evidence out and suppress anybody that's going to put in good evidence. So it's clearly political. He hasn't done any of that. Wasting Trump's money. Do you know what Trump is wasting his money on in her statement right there? You! He's wasting money paying you, Alina. Now, you can waive your fees, you can lower your rate. If you're so worried about Trump wasting his money, just don't bill him, right? You can do that. So, I agree with you that Trump is wasting his money 100%, and I think Donald Trump, when all this is over, is going to realize that he wasted a lot of money on possibly the dumbest lawyers I've ever seen in my life. But Alina Habba, all of this together, it shows us that I think she's gotten sucked into Donald Trump's alternate reality. If she had any brains before she took on Donald Trump as a client, she checked those at the door a long time ago. She is no longer thinking rationally. She's no longer thinking critically. She's no longer thinking like a lawyer. She is thinking like a political operative that wants a job in the Trump administration if he wins re-election. That is what she's doing. I guarantee you she will become Donald Trump's press secretary if he wins election next year. But at the end of it, she doesn't care that she looks like a fool because she's still getting the things that she wants, which is clearly based on her performance just to be famous. She gets to go on every single network out there that's willing to have her on. Folks, it doesn't seem like she ever says no to an interview request. So she's getting everything she wants. Trump's still wasting his money paying her, so she can be as stupid as she wants, but she's the one who's laughing all the way to the bank. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.